Hi, welcome to Sharing with Susan B, telling stories from the heart. We're looking to inspire, telling stories of struggle, vulnerability, and lessons learned. Hi, I'm Susan Blaine. I'm here with Anita Manley. I'm so excited to have you here, Anita, and
Great
thank you
seeing
so
you, Susan.
much. So let me give you a little bit of background on Anita. Anita is an advocate for women's mental health. She's a speaker and a blogger. And her website and blog platform is mightymouseformentalhealth.com. And mouse is with an O, capital or zero. A zero rather than an O. So in high school, you wanted to be a marine biologist. Later, you wanted to be an international business communication specialist. You grew up in Beaconsfield, Quebec.
Beaconsfield,
Quebec. Your first job was neighborhood babysitter at age 13. You were a lifeguard, swimming instructor, and a coach. You were assistant in an advertising agency. You did some retail. You got your BA in communications at Carleton. You worked for Environment Canada in communications. That was a summer job. Then Canadian Red Cross as a secretary. You were a reference librarian, marketing manager, childcare professional. That was self-employment. Art marketing, sales, insurance agent, and you do a lot of volunteering. So tell us about what you're really passionate, the work that you're doing and the volunteering that you're doing with the Royal.
So I'm really passionate about sharing my story of recovery from mental illness to help reduce the stigma of mental illness. And I'm also really passionate about women's mental health. So I facilitate groups in the Women's Mental Health Program. I co-created a group called Journaling as a Wellness Tool, and I facilitate that for women at the Royal, as well as for women at Cornerstone Housing for Women.
Yeah. And how has that been healing for you?
My recovery just took off after I started volunteering, and I was able to give back, and I found that people were benefiting from me sharing my story. My recovery just took off. It was 3 months after I was discharged from the hospital that I started volunteering.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah, and it just did me a world of good.
I mean, it must have been scary at first to share some of those
vulnerable. It was very scary. It's hard to be vulnerable.
It is hard to be vulnerable.
It takes courage.
It does.
So it just became easier the more I did it. And I found how much I was helping people by sharing my story.
Yeah.
I share my story of hope, and people are just inspired by it. So,
yeah, and that motivates you even more.
That's right.
It's like an accelerator, right?
Exactly.
I love that. So, this series is all about vulnerability and the power of that and how powerful it is, and talking about struggle and lessons learned. So let's talk about what your biggest struggle has been.
Well, I would have to say my biggest struggle has been I lost everything because of the delusions that I was believing, and I lost my housing, I lost access to my children, I lost communication with my family and all of my friends, and I was 100% completely alone. The only people that were speaking to me or being my friends were people who were paid to care for me. So I was totally alone, and at one point I found myself living in my car for a year throughout the winter as well. So that was probably the hardest part for me. And the other part that was really difficult was actually accepting help and coming to terms with the fact that these delusions were not real, and I had to reach out and accept help.
Yeah. Isn't that the most difficult thing for all of us? Is reaching out, asking for help.
Sometimes that is, yeah.
It is.
I had to reach rock bottom before I finally accepted help from the Royal, and the Royal basically saved my life.
Wow. And you're giving back in a large way.
Trying to.
You are. Lessons learned from the struggle. I mean,
so yeah,
many.
there was a lot, there were a lot of lessons learned, but the biggest lesson that I learned was to have an attitude of gratitude. I was so angry for so long when I was disconnected from everybody in my life and I was ill, but having an attitude of gratitude really helped me to become a happier person.
Yeah.
So I appreciated everything that I had. I appreciated my car because a lot of people didn't have a car to sleep in. And
Yeah.
I
Wow.
appreciated the crummy bed that I had at the shelter that I was staying in. I appreciated all the meals and the clothes that I was given. And I mean, there was so much to be thankful for. So now I live with an attitude of gratitude, and I'm a much happier person.
And we talked about, too, the toolbox, because we've been in several workshops together, and how important that is, because stress can still be a trigger.
Right.
Right?
And it is still a trigger for me.
Yeah. And how important it is to build a toolbox. And that's been some things that you've learned as well, building that toolbox.
Yes, yes. And exercise, healthy diet, taking my medications every day, and I knit as well, and there's some other things that I do. I'm not going to tell you right now.
That's for another show?
That's for the rapid fire.
Oh, okay, great. We still get to get that info. That's good. And I know, and you got married?
Just last year.
Wow,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
so
We
great.
just celebrated July 1st. I don't know if you guys remember. It was the hottest day of the year in Ottawa. It was 47 degrees.
I remember.
Yeah, so it was hot, but it was a lovely wedding day.
And you've reconnected with some of your family members?
I've reconnected with all of my family members.
That's so great.
And after our wedding, my oldest daughter got married, and I was invited to the wedding. And we went out, my husband and I went out for the wedding, and that was the first time I saw her in 10 years.
Wow.
So it was wonderful to reconnect. Yeah.
What advice would you give your younger self?
This too shall pass. That's the advice that I give my youngest daughter. And the reason I would say that is because I was suicidal in my 20s. And if somebody had just said, you know, things will get better, there is hope, you will recover from this, it would have really helped me a lot, because I was in such a dark place. And also, it's a reminder, this too shall pass, to really cherish those good times.
Yeah.
Because they pass as well.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love that saying, and I try to impart that to the women in my group, and to my daughters, and to anyone really who is struggling.
Yeah, it's great words of advice. How about rapid fire? We're ready for that?
Sure.
All right. Well, actually, before that, I want to talk about, because you've got some exciting things happening. You're blogging, but you're going to start writing your book.
I have started writing my book. It's going to be a long process. I'm not kidding you, but I'm starting to write my book on recovery from mental illness.
Yeah,
and,
that's awesome. Well, we look forward to that, and I know you're increasing your public speaking too, so watch out for her. So rapid fire, you ready? Who's your favorite superhero?
Mighty Mouse. It's got to be.
It's got to be. Favorite food indulgence?
Tiramisu. Although I've heard your pies are really good, so.
I'll bring one to a next workshop.
Yeah.
Someone you admire?
Well, I have to say, there are many people I admire, but Susan, you're one person I admire for your energy and your positivity and just your enthusiasm. And also, best-selling author Amanda Jette Knox.
Oh, yes. Was a guest earlier this week. Yeah. Something that not too many people know about you. I know you're an open book, but is there something?
Yes, I'm learning to play the ukulele. What? Another one of my
love
wellness tools.
That's awesome. What's something that always makes you smile?
My family.
And what's your definition, Anita, of success in one sentence?
Love and happiness. Having an abundance of love and happiness in my life.
Facebook, Anita is on there. You can tap into her blog through Facebook. You post a lot of your blogs there. Twitter and Instagram. And remember, her website and blog access is Mighty Mouse for Mental Health. And the mouse, the O in the mouse is actually 0. So that's kind of your trademark.
That's right.
I love that. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
participating today.
Thank you so much.